Hi, I'm Connor. I did a few videos on the property that we bought last year and the tools and the truck that we use to maintain the property and do all the projects and renovations and everything that needs to happen to get this property up to snuff after being basically abandoned for almost a decade. And I told myself I'd upload a few and then see what happens, and there's been enough interest that I figured, okay, let's do maybe a couple more. So I'm gonna talk right now about the inside of the cabin and what we had to do in order to make it livable again after the previous owners neglected it. And then I'll maybe do some videos about the two big pieces of work that I have going on right now, which is finishing the main stairs off of this deck that we built, and then on this side of the building, the shed that we're going to need, and also why we need this shed and why we need such a big shed. So let's do that. So we'll start with the upstairs. Zoom out a bit. So I mentioned in the previous recording that the upstairs and the downstairs are not connected. So this is the door for upstairs. There is no staircase down into the basement. You have to go around and down and go in a separate door to get to the basement. Kind of weird, but you know, that's the way it is. This cabin was built, according to the records at least, in 2001, 2002. And so, you know, it's very basic. It's 20 by 25 feet, and you know, it's perfect for what we needed to do. All right, so off of the main deck, come on inside, and this is it. I will try to add in some footage from when we were looking at the property originally and try to show how just absolutely unmaintained this was before we bought it, because it'll hopefully show a bit of the contrast of where we are today. I think I'll tack that on to the end of the video if anyone's interested in seeing, but I'll just do a quick run through of things that we've had to do in order to get this place back up to snuff. So we of course had to get new appliances because they were, you know, ancient and rusting. So new stove, new fridge. We installed a small 18-inch wide dishwasher because who wants to waste time doing dishes when you're trying to relax, you know, at the cottage. We had to put in a fireplace to replace the rusty old wood stove that was in here. And even though this is not done yet, we still need to build the chase around this fireplace. It was our primary source of heat last winter. So we had no actual central heat or anything. We have one baseboard heater in the bedroom, but that was not enough to keep the entire place warm. And it was also very expensive to run because it's old and inefficient. So in addition to replacing the old wood stove with this new factory built fireplace, we also installed a ductless heat pump. It's a GREE unit. It's minus 35 capable, so even in the Canadian winter, it should theoretically at least be able to maintain, you know, above freezing temperatures. Even if it were to go down to minus 35, it should at least stop our pipes from freezing, because that was really the big downside to not having central heat, is that we could come up here, we could use the cabin, but we had the water turned off because we were afraid that it was going to freeze when we were away. So now that we have the heat pump, and more than that, a heat pump that is connected to Wi-Fi, which is just so nice, such a modern luxury to have for a place like this. We can control that from home, you know, let the temperature be 10 degrees when we're not here, but then crank it up before we make the drive, and everything's warm when we get here. And it's already started to get cold here in southern Canada, so it's already doing some work there. The other things that we had to do, we had obviously got new furniture. We installed a new ceiling fan. There was a very small, completely dusty, and you know, some animals had chewed on some wiring in the old fan, so we replaced it with this gigantic 64-inch fan, which is very good at circulating heat in the winter and keeping us somewhat cool during the summer. So even though now we have the heat pump, even in the summer, we don't even need to use it that much because this fan is pretty effective. And in the winter, when we're here, if we do run the fireplace, which we often do because it's just nice, the fan plus the fireplace is enough to keep the place warm. And so the heat pump also doesn't really need to run that much. Moving in through here, we have the bathroom. We had to put in a new toilet because the old toilet was leaking. We put in, new shower head, just simple stuff like that because the old stuff was all covered in garbage. We're going to be replacing this vanity at some point, and we had to redo some of the wiring, put in GFCI plugs, stuff like that. And then in the bedroom, we actually didn't have to do a ton in here, put in some new furniture and new mattress, new bedspread, lamps, all of that stuff, and a new ceiling light. But for the most part, the bedroom was actually pretty much fine. There's that old baseboard heater I talked about. We don't need it anymore because of the heat pump, but we may replace it with something more effective like a ceramic heater, just to really, give assistance to the heat pump in the winter if it ever does get down to that minus 35. So that's the upstairs. Now we can head outside again and check out the basement, which is a completely different story. So, like I said, you have to go outside, go down the stairs. These are the stairs that need to be finished. So right now, we built this landing, but there's about a 2 to 3 foot drop. It's a bit of a slope here. So one of my projects for this weekend that I'm here right now is going to be building box stairs that bring this landing actually all the way down to the ground. And that'll be, I guess the next video. Going into the basement, you saw a peek of this in the third video that I recorded. I still haven't replaced that light bulb, so the lighting in here is still pretty bad, but there was this room, the main room, is pretty much unfinished. It has walls, but it doesn't have a ceiling and doesn't have a floor. So our major project over the winter is going to be finishing this room. And in order to finish this room, all of this crap has to not be here. So that's why we're doing the shed. All of this stuff has to fit into some other space. And so an 8x12 shed is how we're going to accomplish that. Get everything out of here. That way we can refinish this room. We're going to have a bit of a storage / utility room over in that corner. And then this main area will be usable for, have a pull-out couch. If we have guests, they'll be able to stay down here. And, my tools and everything won't be totally taking up all the space. When we bought the place, we had to redo a bit of the water system. The well and septic had not been inspected in a long time. We got them inspected and the septic system was thankfully fine. The well system was also fine. It needed some new electronics in the pressure switch, and we installed a number of new filters and capabilities to help, guarantee that we will never have an issue with water quality. And we had to address a slight sulfur smell. It's pretty common in this area to have sulfur in the water, but we did not want to have that anymore. So we got a sulfur system, a sediment filter, and also a heat trace to keep the line out to the well from freezing. And then over here is the sulfur and iron filtration system. It's a very complicated thing that I don't fully understand, but it does. It uses a medium to filter out sulfates and iron from the water, and make sure that we don't have that smell, and filters out those heavy metals. We also had a tankless electric water heater installed in place of the old rusting hot water tank. And we went for the tankless because since we're not here all the time, we figured no point in using electricity to heat water when you're not at the property, and it's also easier to winterize and all of that stuff. Similarly to upstairs, we got the ductless head unit over there to keep the majority of the plumbing from freezing, and that's really all that's happened in this room. All the plumbing stuff was pretty significant. Did not do that ourselves. We had an actual qualified plumber and a well septic specialist do most of that. But then moving into the bathroom, the same kind of deal. Had to get a new toilet. We're also going to be replacing this vanity. We had to do a very intensive cleaning on the rest of this bathroom, and then we put in a floor. So we put in a basement underlayment and actually an insulated basement underlayment, and then we also are almost finished redoing this bedroom. So you'll notice in the main room it's all wood paneling on the walls. In here there was some moisture that had crept up through the concrete pad into the wood paneling, and so we ripped all of that out, replaced it with just good old regular drywall, and then also we need to finish the window sill and frame. That's not quite done yet. We had to get some work done on this panel because it wasn't quite up to modern electrical codes, so we had an electrician come in and do that, and then the usual furniture. The ceiling is still as it was, and that is where the telecom technician ungracefully stuffed a bunch of extra wire for the new internet install, which I'm going to have to close up all of that at some point as well. So that's the basement. Once we get the shed built and get all this stuff out of here, we're going to continue the flooring out through the whole area, and we're going to also do that insulated underlayment throughout the whole basement, and eventually we'll do the ceiling. We might keep the wood paneling in this area just because it's not damaged, so there's no real reason to go through all of the rigmarole of drywall, especially with all of that plumbing on the wall. It would be a huge pain in the butt, so I think we'll probably leave that as is, but who knows. So that's the basement. That's the inside of the cottage. That's the majority of what we've had to do. I mentioned we did the roof as soon as we bought the place because it was leaking into that upstairs bathroom right around there. We also had soffit and trim put onto everything, as well as eaves troughs. There were no eaves troughs when we bought the place, which is part of the reason why water was coming off of the roof here. It was pooling along this side, and that's why it was seeping up into the concrete pad and getting that wood paneling inside all wet and damaged. So the eaves troughs have fixed that problem, and we also put sealant on the concrete pad wherever we've redone the floor, so that even if there were more moisture, there is a barrier there now to prevent that from getting up into the floor or up into the walls. So that's about it. I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna hopefully record some more this weekend. I'm here for the next 4 days, so I'm going to be starting to tackle these box stairs tomorrow. That's what I'm gonna be. That's what I'll cover. And then also, I brought the trailer up, so we can quickly talk about the trailer and maybe do a lumber run. Oh, and I forgot to mention that we had an EV charger, or at least a NEMA 1450 outlet that can be used with an EV charger installed here on the side of the stairs for our other car, which is an EV. So lots of stuff that still needs to happen before winter. Gotta replace that window, or replace that door with a window, stairs, shed, finish that basement room, and then there's plenty more to come after that. So I'll see you around.